Artificial intelligence is evolving, but so are the threats surrounding the technology we depend on every day. Password spraying attacks are reportedly surging. Thousands of connected surveillance devices have been compromised. Nearly 2,000 hacked WordPress sites are reportedly being used to distribute malware. And cybersecurity researchers are warning that phishing may be entering a new era where artificial intelligence is used by both attackers and defenders. At the same time, some of the biggest assumptions about AI itself are being questioned. Researchers say we still don't have a complete picture of how people are actually using AI, and the idea that artificial intelligence will rapidly improve itself without significant human involvement may not happen as quickly as some predicted. So here's the question. Are we spending so much time preparing for what AI might eventually become that we're overlooking the technology and cybersecurity risks already affecting us today? That's what we're breaking down in this edition of Tech Money Digest on Tech Money Diaries. If you work in technology, cybersecurity, AI, consulting, freelancing, remote work, or you're simply trying to understand where the digital economy is headed, this episode is for you. Real tech, real money, real life. Before we continue, this content is provided for educational, informational, commentary, and discussion purposes only. Information discussed is based on publicly available reporting, research, company statements, and industry analysis available at the time of publication. Nothing in this episode should be considered legal, financial, investment, employment, cybersecurity, tax, or other professional advice. Always evaluate your individual circumstances and conduct your own research before making important decisions. Let's start with artificial intelligence. One of today's stories points to the continued expansion of enterprise AI research. VentureBeat announced its first lead analyst as it expands its research efforts around enterprise artificial intelligence. Why does that matter? Because enterprise AI is becoming about much more than simply choosing an AI model. Organizations have to think about infrastructure, deployment, security, orchestration, governance, integration, performance, and how these systems actually operate inside existing technology environments. That could continue creating demand for professionals who understand the infrastructure behind AI, not just how to prompt it. AI deployment, AI infrastructure, cybersecurity, model evaluation, AI orchestration, governance, systems integration. Those are increasingly connected conversations. Another technology update involves Windows Defender. Microsoft has addressed a known issue that was causing Windows Defender crashes. For remote workers and digital professionals who depend on their computers every day, endpoint security isn't something you want unexpectedly failing in the background. Keeping operating systems and security software updated remains one of the simplest but most important parts of maintaining a secure digital environment. We're also seeing technology move further into our physical environments. Comcast introduced Xfinity Shield, which uses Wi-Fi signals to detect motion inside a home without relying on traditional cameras or motion sensors. That is an interesting example of ambient technology. Your Wi-Fi network isn't simply connecting devices anymore. The signals themselves can potentially become part of a sensing system. That could create interesting applications across smart homes, security, accessibility, automation, and connected environments. But technologies like these also raise important questions about privacy, transparency, security, and how consumers understand what their connected environments can detect. And that brings us to another important AI discussion. Researchers say we still don't really know how people are using artificial intelligence. AI companies may publish selected usage information, but researchers don't necessarily have complete independent visibility into what millions of people are actually doing with these systems. Are people primarily using AI for work, education, coding, research, career development, entertainment, business, emotional support, decision-making? Without comprehensive independent data, it becomes harder to understand AI's real-world impact. And that's important because decisions about AI policy, workplace adoption, education, safety, and regulation should ideally reflect how the technology is actually being used, not simply how we assume it's being used. There's another AI assumption being challenged as well: recursive self-improvement. The idea sounds straightforward. Eventually, an advanced AI system becomes capable enough to improve itself, which allows it to become even better at improving itself, potentially creating a rapid cycle of increasingly powerful artificial intelligence. But researchers are questioning whether that process will happen as quickly as some forecasts have suggested. Today's large language models can write code, analyze information, generate synthetic data, and assist with AI development. But that doesn't necessarily mean completely autonomous and rapidly accelerating self-improvement is right around the corner. For workers, that distinction matters. Human expertise, testing, evaluation, oversight, engineering, and specialized knowledge may remain important for considerably longer than some of the most aggressive automation predictions suggest. That's also a reminder that preparing for AI doesn't mean assuming humans disappear from the equation. It means understanding how the relationship between humans and AI is changing. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think AI development is moving faster than society can manage? Or do you think some predictions about AI capabilities are moving faster than the technology itself? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's move into today's cyber alerts, because this is where today's stories become especially important for anyone earning, working, building, or operating online. Password spraying attacks have reportedly surged dramatically. Unlike an attack that repeatedly guesses hundreds of passwords against one account, password spraying can attempt commonly used passwords across large numbers of accounts. That approach may help attackers avoid some traditional account lockout protections. The reported attacks are also exploiting weaknesses involving MFA and legacy systems. And that matters because having MFA enabled does not automatically mean every authentication system is equally secure. Legacy authentication, weak recovery processes, phishable authentication methods, old accounts, reused passwords, poorly managed privileged accounts. Any of these can weaken your overall security posture. If your organization supports stronger phishing-resistant authentication options, evaluate whether they're appropriate for your environment. And remember, your security is only as strong as the weakest account an attacker can successfully exploit. Connected devices are another major concern. Cybersecurity researchers reported that more than 1,400 Dahua surveillance devices were compromised using techniques including credential attacks, authentication bypasses, and peer-to-peer connectivity. Think about what that represents: cameras, surveillance infrastructure, network-connected devices, systems that may physically observe homes, offices, facilities, and other environments. IoT security can easily be overlooked because these devices don't always feel like computers. But if something connects to a network, it needs to be treated as part of your cybersecurity environment. Change default credentials. Use strong, unique passwords. Install available security updates. Review unnecessary remote access functionality. And understand what devices are actually connected to your network. We're also seeing sophisticated cyber espionage activity. Researchers identified a campaign called Silk Parasite using several previously undocumented remote access tools against government targets in Central Asia. While that particular campaign isn't targeting the average remote worker, it demonstrates how quickly malicious tooling continues to evolve. Today's sophisticated threat can influence tomorrow's broader attack techniques. But one of the most important cybersecurity developments in today's digest is the evolution of phishing. We're entering what some researchers are describing as phishing 3.0. The fight may increasingly become agent versus agent. Attackers can use AI to make phishing more personalized, scalable, adaptive, and convincing. Meanwhile, defenders can use AI agents to analyze behavior, context, intent, and anomalies. That changes the cybersecurity battlefield. Traditional phishing detection often asks, is this link malicious? Is this attachment dangerous? Is this domain suspicious? But AI-assisted attacks may increasingly require another question. What is this person or this AI agent actually trying to get me to do? Transfer money? Reveal credentials? Approve access? Change account information? Install software? Share confidential information? If AI can dynamically adapt an attack based on how someone responds, static defenses may not always be enough. That means understanding intent could become increasingly important. For cybersecurity professionals and developers, this creates both a challenge and a career opportunity. Organizations will need people who understand AI systems and cybersecurity, people who can evaluate AI-generated threats, people who understand identity security, people who can test agentic systems, and people who can help build AI-assisted defenses. Finally, WordPress administrators and small business website owners should pay attention to another reported campaign. A cybercrime operation called Stop and Protect has reportedly used nearly 2,000 compromised WordPress websites to distribute malware and steal information. WordPress powers websites for businesses, creators, consultants, freelancers, nonprofits, and organizations around the world. That makes compromised WordPress infrastructure particularly useful to attackers. If you operate a WordPress site, cybersecurity cannot end when the website launches. Plugins need updates. Themes need updates. Administrator accounts need strong authentication. Unused plugins and accounts should be reviewed. Backups need to exist. And suspicious activity needs to be monitored. For freelancers and consultants managing websites for clients, maintaining security is part of maintaining trust. And that brings us to today's opportunities. The stories we're discussing may sound concerning, but they also reveal where organizations increasingly need expertise. AI infrastructure, enterprise AI deployment, AI orchestration, cybersecurity, identity and access management, AI evaluation, DevOps, software engineering, model training, data quality, AI safety, and human-in-the-loop oversight. Remote and contract opportunities continue to exist across programming, technology, AI evaluation, data annotation, software development, engineering, and specialized digital work. But don't chase every new AI title simply because it contains the letters A and I. Look at the underlying skills. What problem does the organization actually need solved? What technology supports that problem? And what combination of technical knowledge and human judgment can you bring to the table? Now let's bring today's discussion together with the Tech Money Digest show notes and key takeaways. 1. All right, tech pros, here's your first actionable. Double down on your MFA defense, and not just for your primary accounts. Password spraying is through the roof, especially against legacy systems. Your personal and professional digital assets are at risk. Use hardware keys where possible, or at least MFA apps that resist phishing, because standard SMS MFA is increasingly vulnerable. Don't let your weakest link be your undoing. 2. Next up, assume your endpoints, especially IoT, are targets, and secure them aggressively. From surveillance cameras to WordPress sites, hackers are actively exploiting default credentials, old software, and P2P vulnerabilities. If you're managing connected devices or web platforms, audit regularly, patch immediately, and enforce strong, unique credentials across the board. This isn't just about big companies anymore. It's about every digital worker's setup. 3. Finally, a heads up on the evolving AI landscape. While AI self-improvement might be slower than some predicted, the fight against AI-driven threats is heating up. We're moving towards agent versus agent in cybersecurity, meaning traditional defenses are struggling. For developers and security specialists, understanding how to build and defend against AI-powered attacks and leverage AI for defense will be a critical, in-demand skill set. Stay curious, stay learning, because the goalposts are definitely shifting. If there's one idea I want you to leave with today, it's this. Don't prepare only for the AI future everyone is predicting. Prepare for the digital environment that already exists. AI may continue becoming more capable. AI agents may become more autonomous. But right now, organizations still need human expertise. Right now, attackers are exploiting passwords. Right now, connected devices are being compromised. Right now, websites are being weaponized. And right now, professionals have an opportunity to build the skills needed to secure and responsibly deploy the next generation of technology. So my final question for you is, if you were choosing one technology skill to strengthen over the next year, would you choose AI, cybersecurity, cloud infrastructure, software development, or something else? Tell me in the comments. And if this episode helped you understand what's happening beyond the headline, like the video, subscribe to Tech Money Diaries, and share it with someone working in technology, cybersecurity, AI, or the digital economy. You can also explore Tech Money Digest for additional technology, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, career, and opportunity updates. Before you go, I also want to share something for those navigating the human side of career and life transitions. Wisdom Earned, Not Taught, Finding Growth, Resilience, and Purpose Through Life's Challenges explores the lessons no classroom could prepare us for. Lessons learned through change, resilience, failure, growth, and the courage to keep moving forward. Whether you're navigating a career transition, rebuilding after a setback, or searching for greater purpose, this book is an invitation to reflect, learn, and grow. Wisdom, Earned Not Taught is available now in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. https://achi.co.dd01miosc5. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, share, and comment to support future content on technology, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, careers, leadership, personal growth, and lifelong learning. Because some lessons can be taught, the most meaningful ones are earned. Life is the classroom, experience is the teacher, wisdom is the diploma. This content is provided for educational, informational, commentary, and discussion purposes only. Information discussed is based on publicly available reports and sources available at the time of publication. Nothing presented should be interpreted as legal, financial, investment, employment, cybersecurity, tax, or other professional advice. Some visuals, graphics, narration, summaries, or production elements may be created or assisted using artificial intelligence tools and are reviewed prior to publication. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes including criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. References to companies, publications, products, trademarks, technologies, and services are made solely for educational commentary, analysis, reporting, and discussion. All trademarks and intellectual property remain the property of their respective owners. This is Tech Money Digest on Tech Money Diaries. Real tech, real money, real life.